We are back with you now on Wave Listens Live, our second segment today, an important one. We are introducing you now to the Bedrock Group. This is a veteran and first responder-owned full-service insurance agency, and they specialize in senior solutions. So here to walk us through all the great details, I've got Dan Lodwick, who is the co-founder and COO of the Bedrock Group. So welcome to Listens Live.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we mentioned veteran-owned, emergency responders, part of this organization. So how did you get to this place? How did the Bedrock Group come to be?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. It was from being a fireman. We do a lot of emergency medical runs on seniors, and not really realizing, I was young in the fire service, I didn't realize that Medicare didn't cover everything. So we would make a lot of emergency medical runs, and people sometimes they would want to deny the ambulance because they just simply couldn't afford it anymore. Yeah. So I thought, man, there's got to be some help out here. So that's how I started. That's how I started into it, and I've been doing it ever since.
You saw firsthand through your first career that a need was there. We needed to have these services here in our community. So speaking of those, what can people get from this group specifically that maybe they can't find elsewhere?
A lot of times it's just solid education, right? We get in here, we look at people that are getting into Medicare for the first time. Medicare will send you their handbook, Medicare and You. If you're not a licensed agent and you don't really understand what it's all about.
It looked like another language to you.
Yeah, I mean, Medicare can be so confusing to people. So what we do is we like to take the ease of the learning curve out of it, right? All you ever see is there's penalty for this, penalty for that. So we do a lot of time educating our people, educating our clients, and getting them comfortable with the new transition into life, right? Because it is a change.
Yeah, it's a change. It's important. It's difficult to navigate by yourself. So Senior Solutions Medicare, is that kind of the leading service? Is that where you spend most of your time?
Yeah, that's more of our starship, flagship service, and then of course we do the property and casualty and everything else. But it's all Medicare based, right? It's seniors, helping seniors understand, and a lot of times they'll go into plans that they're just because somebody told them to get into it,
right?
And then they're having issues with it, and we try to be the bridge of educating them and putting them in the right plans. It's right for them, because when you're in Medicare, you are an individual. We've got husbands and wives that we've dealt with, that I've dealt with personally over the years. They're in the same plan because they may have been with someone who only sold a certain plan,
right?
And it's right for one and not right for the other. So that's where we kind of come in and clear the confusion up.
Knowing that Medicare can be as confusing as it is there a best time if people are watching today and they say, okay, either I'm in the middle of this right now and I know it's a good time to contact you, but for folks that are like, this is around the corner, I know it's coming, I don't want to get stuck with something that's confusing, and you mentioned penalties and all this, is there a best time for folks to get involved with you and start going through this process?
Yeah, I would say if you are, if you're still working and you're getting into Medicare, typically you're 3 months before you're turning 65, right? Because that's when you're going to get attacked all year.
Right.
Everybody's getting mailers all the time. They're getting phone calls. You've seen it everywhere. And it is confusing, right? So when they're about 3 months prior to turning 65, that's when they can actually sign up for their Medicare Part A and B. And a lot of times too, people say, well, I'll just stick with my employer plan, but the employer plans do change for some folks when they turn 65, and they think that they're kind of stuck with the employer because they've been loyal to the employer all this time. And you find out that maybe that employer coverage isn't right for them, or they're already retired, drawing Social Security, and it's time to get in. That's when it would be the best time, because that's when the education and that's when the opportunities for them are the greatest, when they're first entering into Medicare.
How does Bedrock Group, because a lot of people see this and they say, okay, I know I need this help. What is the process like? How do you help your clients through all of this?
Sure. What we do is I like to set up a one-on-one meeting, and it's not for putting them in a plan at that time. It might be just to educate them on what the life change is getting ready to happen. I explain to them all the parts of Medicare, and then honestly just advise them on what might be the best for them, for their situation.
As somebody who both of your careers, right, have been in the public service, you're out there helping people. What has been the most rewarding part of transitioning from the first responder side of things to now where you're able to help people with some pre-planning and some issues that can keep them out of hot water? What's that been like for you to go through this?
I mean, honestly, it's a blessing. I think the best thing that you get from this is knowing that when you leave that person's home or if they come into the office that you've done a due diligence service for them. There's so many times where they're telling you exactly what I said earlier. They're confused, and they're like, man, I just keep getting all these mailers.
What is all this?
Yeah, and they're like, I keep hearing this from their friends that may have went through it and didn't have a good person to advise them. And I think that's the best part of it is when you get done with them. Like I said, our job when you're an agent in this kind of business dealing with seniors is you're an educator first.
Right.
I don't want to do anything but educate. And the education that I give them is also going to be the education that's going to lead them into a more secure future with it.
Right. So. Which I'm sure is why you do exactly what you do. Okay, on that topic of education, we've got some Listens Live episodes that are going to be coming up. We're going to get to do some of these important question answers when it comes to Medicare. So if our audience is out there saying, okay, I need to hear more about this, I can't wait to watch some of these, how can they find the schedule? How can they know when this is coming up?
I think it's going to be Medicare Mondays for us right here.
Medicare Mondays.
We want you to, get all your questions into us. You can go right there to our www.bedrockfg.com. We are on Facebook. Ask the questions, and we'll answer them on the next show.
It's the most important part, right? Don't be afraid to kind of go down this road, and you'll help them through it.
Yeah.
Well, it was great to have you on. Great to have the Bedrock Group be a part of Medicare Monday, something that our audience can look forward to. We'll get some of those questions answered, and it's good to have you on Listens Live.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
All right.
Next Monday. All right, stay with us here on Wave Listens Live. One more great segment to go. We are talking Trees Louisville. That's coming up next.